Again, thank you everybody for joining us. We're here to talk with you this morning about protecting your organization from the inside out. And what that really means is that, there are a lot of threats that face an organization. Typically, I think people perceive them as external threats, people trying to hack into their systems or steal information from outside of the organization. But as you'll see here as we go through this, a good majority of data leakage or loss of information is caused from within an organization, not from the outside. And so I think it's oftentimes companies are not paying attention to this, and especially in the small business sector, I think, because either because of cultural reasons or whichever it might be. But it's something that is seriously needs to be looked at. And at the end of the day, this is really about making sure that your business continues to run and that you protect your most prized asset, which is your information. According to Gartner, the essence of an organization, in other words, its makeup, what it's really all about, 90 to 95% of that is in structured and unstructured data. That's customer lists. Those are patents. Those are other documents and information that you have either in paper format or in electronic format. And so if you lose that, then you're losing a portion of your organization. So it's really critical that you look at both protecting it from the outside as well as from the inside. Presenting today will be myself, and Mike, it doesn't seem like the slides are changing. If you could change that or get that fixed. There we go. Yeah, as I said, my name is Dwight Blankenship. I am the co-owner and founder of TeamLogc IT of Columbus. I've been in the IT business for about 25 years. The last 12, I've been primarily focused on security, both internet and network-based security and data loss prevention. Most recently, I was with Cisco, and before that, I was with WebSense, which also focused on data loss prevention and web security as well as email security. TeamLogc IT, if you're not familiar, is part of a nationwide network. There's actually now over 60 locations nationwide, but we are locally owned. And TeamLogc IT has been around since about 2006, and we focus on providing managed IT services and other computer services and technologies to small businesses. Joining me today is Micah Healy. She is with Awareness Technologies as their channel sales manager. She manages the relationships between companies like TeamLogc and Awareness. But Awareness is one of the leading providers, or I should say actually the leading provider of cloud-based insider threat protection. And Michael will be joining us or presenting here a little bit later specifically about the Awareness Technology solution. Micah, the slides, I cannot get the slides to change. If you wouldn't, if you'd mind making me presenter, that would be helpful.
All right, I've given you the controls. Let's see if that works for us. If not, we'll drive for you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. Nope.
Okay. So
I'll give you the cue here, just like the old microfiche. I'll do a Bing or something like that. Anyways, appreciate everybody's patience in dealing with the technical difficulties here. As far as an agenda goes, we'd like to tell you a little bit about, what are the insider threats, what really is the definition of that. As a small business owner or part of a small business, should you be worried? What are the things that you need to be concerned about in those regards? And then what are the advantages of protecting your data? What are some of the best practices you need to be considering? And then we'll spend a few minutes at the end talking to you specifically about Awareness Technologies' InterGuard solution and how it can address some of these issues. And as promised, we will have a gift card drawing for the participants. So be sure to stay on till the end here, and we'll announce that at the very end. Go ahead, change slides, please. So what are the insider threats? There really are several different ways of looking at this. Most of the time, in fact, a majority of the time, these threats are an accident, or these data losses or data breaches are an accident. It's anything from, an employee sending information via email that they don't think is, it's a big deal, but it's private and confidential information, and it's going out over the public network. Think about the administrator that, the boss is saying, I need this thing done by tomorrow morning. So they might take some information, maybe a spreadsheet that contains confidential or important information, and sending that to their Hotmail account or their Gmail account so that they can work on it at home, and then they're emailing it back to their work account. Is that a data breach? The fact of the matter is that information is traversing a public network, the internet, and could be sniffed or hacked, maybe from their home computer. So there's scenarios like that. A lot of these threats are based on the fact that people don't know where information is. You can see the individual here with piles of information on their desk. Well, the same thing goes with electronic information. It gets put on a USB drive, or it gets put on a laptop, and the laptop gets stolen, or it's residing on a computer, and people don't even realize it. It's maybe sitting in an old file server in the closet. So a lot of times people don't even know where that information is. And so that poses a threat to companies. And then finally, there's the malicious intent. It could be a hacker from the outside that's obtained credentials of an employee, or it could be the employee themselves. As we all know, there are occasions when you have the disgruntled employee that is leaving. In fact, statistically showing 60% of employees that leave an organization take confidential and private information with them. Think about the sales rep that might take their customer list with them, or other types of information. And we need to realize that hackers are socially engineering these attacks to fool people. That's how they do it. There's a great story. I was at a seminar last year, and this consultant was working with a company that was concerned about these types of threats. Are their employees really following policy? Are they doing everything to protect the information? And what he basically did was he sprinkled USB drives, just little thumb drives, I should say, throughout the company. He put one in the break room. He actually dropped one in the parking lot. He put one on, on a person's desk. And within an hour, 2 out of those 3 thumb drives had been plugged into a computer, and people were looking at them to see what was on them. And lo and behold, there was actually a backdoor communicator on that thumb drive that took over their machine and started communicating back to this consultant's host computer. And that could have just as easily been a hacker doing that type of attack. So it's oftentimes it's not intentional. It's in fact 70% of the time it's accidental, but there are many different ways that information can leave an organization from inside, and it's not necessarily that person's intent, but that's what happens. Go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. So, should you be worried? As a small business owner, we're finding that the laws are now applying to small businesses. I think a lot of small businesses think, well, these laws, these HIPAA compliancy and PCI compliancy and Gramm-Leach-Bliley and these other state laws don't really apply to us, but they really do. And there's now 47 out of the 50 states have laws on the book that if you lose customer or confidential information, you've got to notify people. You've got to make it people aware of that. And as I said, it's oftentimes it's not the criminals that are doing this. It's a simple clerical error or an accident. And at the end of the day, you are obligated to notify people if this happens. And the cost to business, just to give you an idea, according to the Ponemon Institute, if you lose information, it will cost an organization, at a minimum, it will cost you $182 per record loss to rectify the situation. And that comprises of offering credit report monitoring and other types of actions that you need to take care of the situation. The bad thing is that if you have a data breach and people find out about it, 40% of your customers will consider leaving you. 20% will definitely leave you. I mean, think about the scenario. For example, there was a car parts store or chain here in Columbus that had a data breach. This was several years ago. They lost 40,000 records, credit card information. Well, as a consumer, I'm not going to patronize that particular business because I'm concerned about them and what safeguards they're taking about my personal and confidential information. So think about that. What would be the impact to your business if you did have a data breach, if you did lose information? What would it mean to your customers? What would it mean to your brand? Go ahead to the next slide, please. So it's kind of like the old iceberg scenario, right? Only 10% of an iceberg is visible. The other 90% is below the water. Thus what sank the Titanic. So we all have that fear of the unknown, but it's what we do about it is really what makes all the difference. And so it's really about managing that risk, that unknown, and mitigating it. Here are some statistics that I think should make you kind of think about how this might impact your business. But 30% of an employee's workday is spent on non-work-related PC activities, surfing the web, going out, looking, at YouTube. We all know about March Madness. What happens then? We know about Cyber Monday. But on average, during the week, people are spending 4, 5, 6 hours of time doing personal things on the internet or on their computer. And culturally, that might be okay with your business. You don't necessarily want to be big brother. But at the end of the day, you're paying those people salary. And if you extrapolate the numbers and look at 5, 6 hours a week that they're spending on this type of stuff, is that something you really want to condone? Or think about it from the perspective of, do you want people going on YouTube and downloading streaming video and it's hogging up your network bandwidth so that it's impeding the rest of your business to be able to conduct business because the internet is running too slow or the network is running too slow? So it's something to think about. It doesn't necessarily pertain to data loss, but it's a threat to your business nonetheless. Well, some of the other statistics here, 600,000 laptops are lost or stolen annually, and only 3% are recovered. What kind of information is on those laptops? As we all know, we're becoming much more mobile, and it's not just the laptops these days. It's your smartphones, your iPhones, your Androids, and those types of things. What type of information is on there? What type of access does that offer to a hacker or somebody with malicious intent? Again, think about the disgruntled employee that is leaving the company and takes their laptop with them. What kind of information is on there that you'd be concerned about if you were planning on terminating them? Wouldn't you like the ability to completely wipe that hard drive if it's lost or stolen or taken by an employee? And as I said earlier, 60% of exiting employees walk out with company information. And 70% of these threats are from insiders. And the cost to a business is 10 times greater than an external breach. Let's go ahead and go on. So, these are all the threats. There's obviously a lot of concern and rightfully so. But what are some of the advantages? What are some of the positives for protecting your information? really, first and foremost, it's critical to complying with regulations and state laws. I mentioned PCI. If your business is collecting credit card information, you need to take every measure you can to protect against losing that information. If you have a breach, if you lose credit card information, the PCI laws now are becoming much more stringent. You will not only be potentially fined, but you will also then have to pay more for your credit card processing fees. And that can really, that can kill a small business, as you can imagine, if you're paying more for those credit card fees or if you have to pay a fine. And in fact, 60% of small businesses go out of business within 6 months after having a breach. So it's really critical that you comply with regulations and the state laws. You can exemplify due diligence, right? You can say to your customers, give them peace of mind by saying, hey, these are all the things we're doing. We've got all these mechanisms in place. We've got all these layers of security in place from the inside out and from the outside in to protect your information, Mr. Customer. And oh, by the way, our competition may not be doing that. Is that concern to you, Mr. Customer? Is it important to you that your partners or your vendors protect your information? Well, we are doing that. And then, of course, it can also improve employee productivity. So those are some of the advantages of protecting your organization. Now I'm going to turn it over to Micah, and she's going to talk to you about what are the best practices around data loss prevention.
Thank you, Dwight, and good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. As Dwight said earlier, my name is Micah Healy, and I am the Channel Sales Manager for the Eastern region here at Awareness Technologies. Over the next few slides, what I want to do is go through some steps and different layers of protection as it relates to data loss. So the first step that we've got here is the ability to prevent. So maybe you and your organization, you have some policies in place that are preventing data from exiting. Maybe it's a matter of keeping confidential data in designated areas. Maybe you password protect some of your documents. Maybe you have some limitations on what can be printed. But these would all be examples of ways to prevent. Now, as it says here, this is just a small piece of the puzzle. So you've got these policies in place, but how do you know if they're perfect? Are they made without error? How can you tell, or how can you be certain that employees are actually following these policies? The likelihood that your policies are airtight might be slim. That's no fault of yours. It's just the reality of it. Remember that iceberg that Dwight was talking about? But having the ability to monitor will give you that insight that you're looking for. And so the next piece of the pie here is the ability to record, knowing where your sensitive data lies, recording everything that's happening on your corporate devices. That way you can see where the problems are. Yes, it's hindsight, but at least you know some areas that might need to be tightened up. From here, the next step, as I just alluded to, is to discover. Discover what areas might need some tightening up. If you had a policy breach, how would you know what to disclose to your customers? It would be not a positive thing if you didn't hear about a breach from internal sources, but rather external sources. That would lead to credibility issues with your customers potentially, and even employees, depending on the nature of the information that was leaked. So keeping an eye on where your data lies is what this is really talking about. The next piece here is having the ability to delete certain information if it's in the wrong hands. For example, once you discover that something, a piece of information isn't where it should be, perhaps you've got Sally in the mailroom and she has a list of everybody's payroll information, do you have the ability to make a correction? I mean, sure, you could approach Sally on it, but having the ability to do it without her having an action would be beneficial. Last piece of the puzzle here is the ability to locate and disable a device if it's lost or stolen. Remember that statistic that Dwight had a while back about 6,000 laptops being lost or stolen each year with only 3% being returned. What do you do in a situation like that? Well, if you had the ability to identify where the device is, you could potentially get it back. More importantly, you have the ability to wipe it clean, disable it, and really eliminate that risk that that situation puts you and your business in. So with these 5 pieces of the pie here, we've got a next generation data protection. And so what I'd like to do next is give you a brief introduction to the InterGuard suite that TeamLogc IT and Awareness Technologies offer. And to give you a little bit of a background on Awareness Technologies, we offer a SaaS solution or a cloud solution for insider threat protection. And so what does that mean? Traditionally speaking, as Dwight alluded to earlier, security vendors have focused on external threats coming into the network. What we've done here at Awareness Technologies is the opposite of that and looked at threats that are sourced from the inside. And so it's delivered, like I said, as a software as a service. It's agent-based, and that's very important, meaning that that technology goes wherever your corporate machines go. So if you've got traveling employees or somebody that wants to work from home, that's all right. Our technology would still be there. So breaking down the suite here in a couple of different modules, we'll begin with the PC monitoring. What this does is it records absolutely everything that's happening on those devices. So all email, whether it be corporate mail or webmail-based, personal mail, we have the ability to capture that. In addition, we keep track of all instant message sessions, web browsing activity, keystrokes if you choose to enable it, what programs are being accessed and for how long, and then also what documents are being printed and the names of the documents and where they've been sent to. So that's the monitoring. It goes hand in hand with our data loss prevention. So the monitoring gives you insight as far as what's going on. The data loss prevention actually gives you the ability to take an action on it. So it works in 2 ways. It's looking at data in motion as it relates to email and removable media like a thumb drive. So you could create a policy that says nobody can send out credit card information to their personal Yahoo account, for example. Or we can't save any files that have credit card names or credit card numbers on them to a thumb drive. Those would be examples of data in motion. The second piece to this is data at rest. So seeing where sensitive information is stored. This is the million-dollar question. How do you know what everybody has on their machines and where they're keeping it and how it's being used? It's really difficult to know that if you don't have a tool to scan the computers and see where everything lies. From there, you can adjust your policies. The last module that we're going to talk about today is our laptop recovery. This solution also is twofold. It gives you the ability to locate a device based on Wi-Fi signal. And so if it is reported lost or stolen, you can get really granular and within about 30 feet get a location of where that machine is. More importantly, in my opinion, is the ability to delete and retrieve data off of it. So not only are you without all the information that was on that machine, you can recover that, but you also have the ability to delete it in case it is in the wrong hands. You don't have that risk of exposure. So this is the InterGuard Internal Threat Suite. To give you an example of some of the additional features that's offered with this, keep in mind all of the bullet points we just went over in the previous slide, but here's an example of a report that you get. This report is top blocked websites, and these can be automatically sent out to you, so it's not a matter of you going in and managing the console yourself. I believe Dwight and TeamLogc IT would be happy to do that for you, but these reports can be sent to you without any action on your part. That way you know what's happening on all of the machines that have the software running on it. So in this example, you can see that we've got all sorts of different sites. YouTube seems to be particularly active. What if, for example, your customers were exposed to your employees' machines? Would you want them to walk by and see what unknown YouTube video is running? Possibly not. Who knows? Maybe that's not a concern, but the point is you've got a lot more insight on what's going on. All right. Next, I've got a screenshot of our data loss prevention. This is going to show us all of the policies that have been violated at the top. And so we can see who our violator is and what was the violation that took place. So in the bottom, we can see that we've got Social Security numbers that were being saved to an Excel spreadsheet. From here, you actually have the ability to download the spreadsheet so you can make your decision on if this is really a policy violation or not. But again, the point is a lot more insight that you did not have before, and the ability to prevent something from going out that you wouldn't have the ability to do before. All right. Next, I've got an example of an alert words report. Again, this can be sent out automatically to you. But to give you a little bit of background as it relates to our data loss prevention and our PC monitoring, we have this feature called alert words. And basically what those are keywords or triggers that you want to keep an eye on. So maybe it's a social security number, credit card number, maybe it's the name of the CEO, maybe it's a merger and acquisition. It's up to you to be creative and let us know what you want to keep an eye out on, but we have the ability to notify you of when these certain words are mentioned in a website, an instant message, or an email. And this is a report aggregating all of that information. The last thing I'm going to show you is a screenshot of our laptop recovery and the geolocation feature. So we've got these little shields on the map that are plotting the last time this machine has checked in. So perhaps your business is in Los Angeles and it's stolen. You can see that it made its way all the way across the country. And once you drill down, if you were to click on that shield where it's circled over there, you actually get an address of where that machine is. So from here, you could contact the local authorities and say, I've got this technology in place. I believe my machine to be here. Please help me. Or you have the ability to go in and start retrieving data off of it and wiping it clean, essentially turning it into a brick. So this is the Awareness Technologies internal threat portfolio that's provided by TeamLogc IT. This is all that I've had to show you today. Hopefully this was insightful. I'm going to turn it back over to Dwight to wrap up the rest of the presentation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Micah. So yeah, in closing, I just kind of a quick recap here. You know, at the end of the day, businesses need to really be aware of what's going on within their organization, and they don't know what they don't know oftentimes. So it's really good to be able to understand where that data is, how it's being used, and to make sure that it's not leaving the organization inappropriately. But you know, just again, you know, on the positive side, this is something that can be exemplified to your customers as doing your due diligence and showing them that you're doing everything to protect their information. So, you know, it can certainly be a marketing advantage for your company, but it can also make sure that, you know, people are doing the things they're supposed to be doing and they're adhering to your policies. As Micah mentioned, this is a cloud service, so it's much more affordable than the traditional data loss prevention solutions out there. And it's something that can be done from anywhere. So if you have mobile staff with laptops and those types of things that are out there in the field, they can still be, that information can still be protected. So I know, you know, part of the attendees here qualify for a free assessment of this technology, but anybody that's interested, you know, please give me a call or send me an email, and we're happy to come out and just put this technology on for, you know, 7 or 14 days just to give you an idea of what's going on out there. So if you're interested in that, let us know at the end of this, when we close the webinar. You're going to be presented with a survey. If you wouldn't mind, it's just about 3 or 4 questions. Answering those would help us know that, you know, these things are beneficial and helpful. But if you have any questions, any additional questions, my email is at the bottom. Feel free to contact me. And as I said, if you're interested in a free assessment, let us know, and we'll come out and talk with you about it. So without further ado, and to close things off here, I'm going to do a drawing of the attendees. And the winner is Samuel Yaboa. And Samuel, we'll be in touch. I'll send you an email to get your contact information, and you can just send me your address, and we'll get you the $100 gift card. So with that, we would just like to again say thank you for your time today. We appreciate you attending, and if there's anything else we can do for you, please let us know. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.